toys. As kids, we'd play with them, and as parents, we must purchase and then inevitably step on them in the dark. Each year, our kids grow, the toys get bigger, louder, more expensive. So pull it, twist it, bop it. We're talking about age-appropriate, developmental, and family bonding toys on this episode of Three-Dimensional Dads.
I'm Jay.
I'm Derek.
And I'm Ian.
And welcome to Season 2.
Yes.
Episode 2 of Season 2,
Ooh.
The sequel. The Search for More Money. Which I heard they are making a Spaceball sequel, and it might be titled The Search for More Money.
Oh, God.
Which would be amazing.
Josh Gad involved. I love Josh Gad.
I hope so. He's a funny guy.
Oh, yeah.
So, toys, right? Now, just reminding you all that if you're seeing this, that means we're a video podcast.
Hello.
And if you're listening to us, we got some big news. We're a video podcast.
You could go to the YouTubes and watch us.
Yes.
Yeah, the tubes of you. Yes, the tubes of you. Look for Three-Dimensional Dads. The number 3. Don't spell it out. We have to be economical. I have, in fact, stepped on a Lego within the last 24 hours.
Oh, it is a pain.
Yes, Leor,
that is unique.
It hurts.
It is.
It hurts.
Wow. Yeah, it's unlike anything else. The
kiddo got a Lego Wicked set from her bubby for Hanukkah, and she is so good at it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, she just sits there and she's like, she's like in the zone.
Yeah.
You're like, and all of a sudden the Emerald City
There you
appears.
go. Nice.
Which I actually watched Wicked for the first time today.
Oh, what do you think?
Well, and I think I'm going to be buying more toys for Wicked as we have another movie coming out in 11 months. But yeah, so I mean, you know, we talk about toys, and we just kind of finished the holiday 2024 season. How did it go, Ian?
Ooh.
What'd you get?
So this holiday season, I got a lot of fun stuff. I got a PlayStation Portal. So I thought, you know, sharing a story about this season. I made a big mistake. My daughter's birthday is in November, very end of November, almost December, and so we're looking at toys, and she asked for a Nintendo Switch Lite. And it was like Black Friday, you know, I was like, it all kind of lined up. So I got her one. Huge mistake. That, like, it overshadowed everything we got for Christmas. It was just, that is a Christmas level toy. And I was like, right, I know. And I was like, it'll be okay. And then we didn't find something better. We got our, like, Wicked stuff. And it's like, but then like on Christmas Day, there's like on their Nintendo Switches. And yeah. And I was just like, I got him some new games. So, like, that's how I...
See, this is where the Jewish people have nailed it. Right? The whole thing with Hanukkah and the 8 days. Now, again, the holidays are not about presents, but at some point, you know, Christmas and Hanukkah come at the same time, and they, you know, you start off with the socks, the underwear, the clothes on the first couple nights, and then you build, right, until you get to the 8th night when you get like the big present, right? So when I was a kid, like if I was getting like G.I. Joes, like days 5 and 6, like here comes the flag aircraft carrier. I never got, but
no one got the aircraft carrier.
No one got the
no one.
The toys got bigger and bigger,
and then it became games. And then in system years, I got a system. Except my bar mitzvah year, I got the Super Nintendo for my bar mitzvah, which was totally worth all that studying and chanting. And
I still feel though, like if you have a birthday close to the proximity of Christmas, you're going to either get screwed or you're going to fall into the trap that Ian fell into.
Yes, this is true.
That's really hard.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I have a buddy whose birthday is like the week after Christmas. It's like, that's such a hard. When it gets close, all those presents. It's
My kiddo is January 20th. Inauguration day. Ooh. So like we've given her all the great toys. So now I have to like look for experiences. So she did get some dolls and Legos this year for Hanukkah, which is great, and some clothes. But her birthday present is we're taking her to see a Taylor Swift experience. It's not the actual Taylor Swift because I still have both my kidneys and I have not sold them yet. But it's a Taylor Swift singer and a full band. And so like now it's like I have to kind of do experiences. But toys, we got dolls, Legos, the usual, nothing huge, but she loves everything she gets, which is the best.
Nice. There was nothing extravagant this year at our household. It was, Jeff Bezos delivered a bunch of cardboard boxes to our house, and we made it happen, right? There was one like very exquisite kind of like Nerf blaster that came out, and we did not know if we were going to get it in time, and we got it like 3 or 4 days before Christmas.
It's a Festivus miracle.
Yeah, it was like a Festivus miracle. But so that was the big one, and it was like, whoo, because it's actually like a really giant blaster, and it came in this smaller box though. So it was kind of like
Gatling gun. What kind of blaster was it?
It's basically, it looks like a sniper rifle. It's like a bolt action, like very high powered, like.
What do you hit with that?
Yes.
Like hopefully
other
cat.
people,
No
not the cat. No,
That's the
no.
rule.
But you can
No
target
cats.
blink and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, that was the big one this year.
You got to love those Festivus miracles. And again, a sniper rifle of Nerf caliber is great for older children, and, younger children are not going to get Nerf blasters necessarily. But age appropriate toys, we got to think about that as parents. I think that, dolls, action figures, whatever you want to call them, and things like that are good because they foster imagination. You can, I know my kid loves to kind of like play kitchen and stuff like that. So, you have the dolls doing the kitchen and whatever, and you can switch gender roles. I mean, I'm the one who does all the cooking at the house, go non-traditional. Imagination is good. So like little dolls, action figures, I think those are great for my daughter. I don't know, Derek, if you want to talk about other presents that you like to, or toys you like to get for your son.
I can't. I'm going to go back to this, and like I think you were mentioning imagination and doll houses and things of that nature. But the most basic things like making a fort. And I'm going to go back to Jeff Bezos again, like all the cardboard boxes in the world. Like, it's just like a cat sometimes. The boxes can be just as fun as the toys that you get inside of them, because there's so many things now that are imagination toys, like even ideas on the internet of like taking, cardboard boxes and making them other things, right? I see people making like adding motors and like making cars and stuff out of cardboard boxes, but then just like the old fashioned imagination stuff, like making a house out of it. But then with cardboard boxes, you don't have to worry about it. You're constantly getting them if you're ordering stuff from
room
Amazon.
full of
you can bash
cardboard.
them. You could do all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah, you could make. I remember my sister would like make me like robot stuff, like out of cardboard and stuff. So I just feel that cardboard boxes, like at any age, to a certain point, granted, they're very versatile, they're plentiful, they're cheap
for kids, and
you can have a lot of fun.
Both of them love.
And cats, yes.
Yes, and cats, yes.
Yeah. So I went a couple ways with this age appropriate stuff. I thought it's worth talking about dangerous toys. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people would give my kids the most esophagus-sized balls in toys I've ever. Like, so many of their toys are like, "Hey, a marble set" when they're 3, and I'm like, I can't. They put everything in their mouths, and so like then you can't do much without the marbles. And like there was a lot of little games and basketball things, and like wow, I wish they had holes in them or something, because all these little balls that are dangerous. So perfect. Yeah, so I thought when you're talking age appropriate, that's always something to consider. Is that like, is it safe for my kid? Because I've had my kids get hurt with toys or hit each other with toys. Like I have 2 daughters, and so like anything that's a sword or something that's a little bit, those can either turn the wrong way or definitely regret that. The other thing I thought with developmental is I've missed the sweet spot on some of these toys. So I love toys. I love buying toys, but I've had some where we would buy for my girls, and then they didn't really play with it at the time. And they came back to it later. Magnetiles. Magnetiles, we like, we heard it was the toy of the century, and it was going to be so great. And so we had a box full of Magnetiles. They didn't touch them. I think at school, they did an activity, and suddenly my daughter became the biggest Magnetile ever. We were like, we have them. Get them out. We have them. Yay.
Yeah.
But they had been sitting there, and like right now, my Legos generally are collecting dust. We build sets. Like we'll get a Lego set and I build them with my daughters. I think I talked about that a little later about family bonding. But they don't do what I did as a kid, which is just like a giant bucket of random Legos.
They have one.
Build something, right? And you just your brain comes up with stuff. And I love that tactile building a thing, imagination stuff with Lego that I don't think my daughters are super there yet. Their brains, like they like to build things and make it look like the box, but not that thing I had as a kid where like I loved Lego could be anything. I built a lot of houses, cars, planes, all sorts of fun stuff. And I think that's the magic of Lego.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, and also loud toys. My daughters, anything that's super loud, they have always loved so much. I try to hold. I always feel
I always feel with the loud toys, it's usually the grandparents that'll get them. It like has the most annoying sounds to them. I remember there was this. I think they even got it from a secondhand store, but it was this Ride On Lion thing, and it had just this repeated animatronic sound went roar.
Well, I think
roar, and it had like this funky music to the background of it.
It's
and
Payback.
I still have like nightmares of this thing. We had to like, yank the batteries. Yes. Oh, it's totally Payback. It totally is Payback. But I feel like toys now, like you're saying, Ian, have more sound, more electronic stuff in them, and
like VR goggles. Like the kids put the VR goggles on these video games, and like they're in another world. Like they almost don't even have to use their imagination now, which is a blessing because the technology is really cool, but it's also a curse, right? Video games, like, you have Atari, Ian, right? You talk about like Atari, and then things grown from there.
Right. So video games are another one I'm thinking age appropriate with my daughters, like, because I think toys and video games have replaced some toys in some ways. It's like my daughters might not play with Lego that way, but in Minecraft, they build the craziest castles and like that's, I think, where they're getting some of that. So I know they have the skills, but I'd rather have them do Lego. And something with my daughters, talking age-appropriate video games, I started them off on single-stick games, and a lot of these controllers have 2 sticks at the same time.
Yeah.
And that is really hard for a little kid. And so somewhere like a side scroller or something where you don't have to be controlling a camera, like my daughter, who was younger, would just stare at the sky or the ground. Like, it really was just like past her. Like, if she plays Minecraft, it's just looking straight up at the sky. I'm like, you got to keep your horizon. No, it was too much. So, I think we're talking age appropriate toys, appropriate video games. I thought that was a good point of finding games like the Mario Kart she loved.
Oh, interesting.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The kind of side scrolly arcade thing she really got into and loved. So there's some of those that are single stick that I thought was a good point to point out. Yeah. And then also puppets.
Nice.
That's something I feel like there was a puppet time with my daughters, and I may have passed for the older one, where like they didn't understand it when they were too little.
Yeah.
And then puppets were like the most magical thing they've ever seen. And then they talked to Kermit and not me. And it was just like their stuffed animals came to life, and it like blew their minds for like a couple years there. And I had all these characters I did. And now I feel like they're like, Dad, they just want to like hit the puppet. I'm like, don't hit the puppet.
Don't hit the puppet. Don't
hit the puppet.
Puppets, giving socks purpose since Age Emporium. Well, I mean, like you talk about puppets, right?
Yeah.
That's imagination. Like imagination is a skill, and toys are supposed to teach skills. I mean, play, yes, but also teaching skills. My daughter particularly loves jigsaw puzzles, and I don't know how she got into this. It just happened. It kind of just came up. Like her grandmother, my mother, got her like one of those 10-piece puzzles, and literally turned around. It was done. She did it.
Ooh.
I forget how old she was, but she literally turned around. She did it.
Yeah.
Now my mother has this puzzle just sitting on her dining room table, 1,000 pieces, and here and there she stays over her grandmother's house. Just puts, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 100. She puts puzzle pieces in. It's great, and it's
Do you glue them down and frame them?
Yep. We have not yet.
Art. It's like art.
We have not yet, although that is a good idea.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, we've done that. That's really fun.
Right? It's not a screen.
Right.
And that's, I think, one of the biggest things we deal with as parents is like regulating that screen time. Now, they do have apps and puzzles, like logic puzzles on screen time. But as soon as they stop eating the pieces, right? Like cardboard puzzles can be fun. Cardboard puzzles are fun. Don't sleep on the cardboard puzzles.
Yeah, my daughter just upped their puzzle game. I had to teach them the corners. Like, I had to teach them, like, the method of puzzles because I didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you do corner pieces first, you do the outside first, you find characters, and you start build like, that's how you do it, because otherwise it's total chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big COVID thing in our household. Like, we would just get a puzzle and we would put it on the dining room table. And the good thing about that, like you're saying, is that it could be just one of those things where you come back to. Like, if you get sick and tired of it, you could leave it alone for a little while, and then like the next day you could sit down for like 15 minutes and then try to find the pieces again. Even if you're like, I'm working on a little spot here, a little spot there, or you organize the pieces a little bit. But yeah, that was a big thing in ours. So we did do the framing too. We had like a couple like really nice puzzles that would be like poster size, and we really liked that. Yeah, so it was like a couple.
My kiddos were not ready for puzzles during the pandemic. Yeah. It was crying. That's every puzzle we put down. There are 2 of them and one puzzle, and there would be crying. It was like, okay, no puzzles.
Yeah,
I wish. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Well, so I mean, so going back to like the developmental stuff, and I know Ian, you touched upon this, but Jack is a Lego maniac. My son is a Lego maniac. He's been a Lego maniac since he was like 4 years old. And the interesting thing is that he would do what you did, Ian. He actually, I remember like when he was 7, we got on eBay, we got a Millennium Falcon set because it was significantly cheaper, right? So he spent like 3 days intensely putting this thing together. And I swear he could not keep it together for like 2 weeks before he was like taking it apart and making other stuff out of it. I was like, let it be the Millennium Falcon. Like in some ways, I'm like, I want it to be like the piece that's like sitting on the shelf and be like, look at this magnificent set. But he's like, no, I'm making a fire truck out of it. And like all this other
of that. I mean, there are kid Legos and there are dad Legos. Like over here, I have the Batman 66 Batmobile.
You spray that with shellac, just like.
Yep, right. No, it's got to be the super glue.
Oh, the
Craggle.
It's got to be the super glue.
The Craggle, right? Exactly.
The Craggle.
Go on, Dad's shelf.
But I feel that. Yeah, right. This is just on Dad's shelf, right? But I feel that, it has sparked so much creativity and spatial awareness. And now he's like not even he still builds sets, but now he like wants to go get pieces to make things from other entities that like, so he's really been into Tears of the Kingdom and Zelda. So he wants to make some of like the mechanics or the mechs from it and stuff like that. So he just went to like Brick Co., which is like in Burlington, and he like just bought a bunch of pieces and is like trying to like, make it on his own, which is like really cool.
This episode is sponsored by Brick Co.
Well, they're in Weymouth like and in Burlington. They like.
Yeah, they resell sets and they will carry like very special pieces too. Like if you're a collector for like minifigs and stuff. So if you have like sets intact with the box, they will resell and do things like that. They sell some new sets too, but then they have like just bins of pieces and stuff, and like you just buy separate stuff too, which is really neat. So
yeah. So thinking about developmental stuff, when I was a kid, I don't think my daughters have gone here yet. They're more Magnetiles. That's like their generation of building toys that they love. And Magnetiles, they keep coming out with new sets and new things. They just got stairs. Magnetiles as a whole. And so now they're building houses. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Got some pieces that make it more house-like. But I had Connects when I was a kid. Do you guys ever go?
Remember Connects?
Yeah. Right? You could build big Connects. They clip together, and like Lego was usually kind of smaller. Where Connects, I could build something like a giant. I feel like on the box they always had the giant pinwheel, like the giant Ferris wheel.
Yeah,
never did the Ferris wheel, but I thought they were cool.
Oh yeah.
And Erector set was another one I had where like it came with motors and wires and battery packs. Like I had a lot of fun with that. I feel like it helped when I went to Radio Shack later on in life. Was like a battery pack that you wire to a motor that turns the wheel, that turns the car. That was awesome.
And that came back. That was the Lego. Lego had the mechanic sets where they did that. And they actually use those in school. Like we have in our seniors have this class where they build stuff with these giant versions of it, which is great. And they drive stuff up and down the hall. It's crazy.
Yeah, we were at a children's museum that had
they have Lego robotics.
Cool. Yep. Then I thought too, I talk about music toys as like a musician, is that like these is something with my kids that specialize that I would always, I have certain ones for them. The first one's Simon, the game that has the 4 color cubes on it. That's, 4 colors on it. That's the red and the green and
that commercial was terrifying.
Right?
Like it's Simon with AI.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Right? Beep, boop, boop. But I thought that was a kid with pattern recognition and remembering music. Music is patterns. Music is this note, that note, this note, and you have to hear it. And so as a kid, I feel like more than I'd look at the lights, I'd hear it and know what it should be. So I got that for my kids. And I think it's interesting who can remember music better is really good at that, like between my daughters. So they love Simon. That's a big one.
I thought you were going with like little toy instrument sets. I was going to say, if your parents out there, you're going to need some of these out there. You're definitely going to need earplugs.
Right. Yeah. Your kid's a drummer. I bet you put them.
Oh, no, he's a good drummer though. But you know, the electric ones, you just have your own headphones. And
so then with music toys and kids, I always made sure when I bought toys for my kids that played music, they did actual scales. There's this awesome caterpillar that was from some company. It was a caterpillar toy, and it has an actual do, re, mi, fa, so, a real scale on it. Because sometimes you'll see these like knockoff kid toys that are cheap, and it's like they make no musical sense whatsoever. But if you're training their little ears, like my daughter went to go figure out Jingle Bells, and she tried to figure out. And I thought, you know, if it's actually complete music, I always made that extra step with those. So yeah, and then cheap instruments. That's another little tip I have of like I have guitars and drums and bongos and like little things around the house. Ukuleles. I have things that are not expensive. It's okay if they touch them and break. Well, I mean, Dad has his dad guitars, but
yeah. Well, I mean, if you get like if you get the kazoots, you get the slide things, and then the really noisy ones. That's when you get the earplugs.
Well, that's what, you know, they're gonna hopefully get instruments from school. I don't know how they do the programs anymore, but remember when we were kids,
get me started.
You would set up and they like you're a saxophone, and all of a sudden you have this big giant case that you're lugging to and from school. I never did that.
Right.
Was not a fan. I'm a guitar and bass guy, so I did that on my own.
Right. Yeah, I think they're close to that. There's like a strings band at my daughter's school, so hopefully, fingers crossed. Then last, I thought we should talk about sports. I mean, have you guys? I think we're talking about skills that you develop. Kids need to, I think, at certain ages, need to be able to catch a ball and throw a ball, and some of these and running and throwing. Yeah. So you know, even just some of these basic skills in the backyard. Frisbees. It's like frisbees like broke their brains for a second. Where we're like, what? How do you?
Physics.
But now that
what kind of wizardry is this?
And they both got frisbee experts. Now the dog catches it when they throw it, and that's like the best moment of their life is when the dog catches a frisbee that they like throw really far. It's amazing.
Hand-eye coordination, spatial awareness. My daughter has found gymnastics, so we've put down kind of throwing and catching the ball, and now she's throwing and catching herself across trampolines and whatnot. Talk about spatial awareness. It's crazy.
Wow.
I don't know where she got that gymnastics. It's definitely not something that I, you know, as six foot 3, 300 pounds. No, like Chris Farley.
No cartwheels for you, Jeff.
You know, but that definitely is not something we share together, is her gymnastics. I think she's beautiful when she does it. She's very graceful for someone who's that young.
But you're not demoing her the back handspring. You're like, here's how you look.
I want to see Jay do
I can do it once. And then,
freaking sprung. Yeah.
And then Jay is
anyone out there a chiropractor? No, and that's not a toy or a sport or whatever that brings us together, right? But we do. You know, we do have toys that bring us together as parents and children, I think, that are really important. It might not be sports toys. It might not be Legos. We do art projects in my house. We love, and that's not a toy per se, but it is an activity. And I think it can kind of go in the toy bracket, so to speak. Painting on little canvases is just the best thing in the world. It's you know, your little Bob Rosses. You're painting little scenes, and sometimes they come with patterns drawn on the canvases. Sometimes it's just free. It's you know, it's an activity. It's not really a toy, but it's something I thought that bring us together. That, you know, is like the puzzles. We do the puzzles too, and sometimes I said earlier, like, puzzles are great because it's not screens, but some toys or some puzzles are great when they're on the iPad. And it, you know, you limit your screen time. We can't be on them all the time, but doing those logic games and stuff, I think, are great. Minecraft is one. You know, obviously that's kind of a screen time activity that is teaching spatial awareness.
Screen time it's a little interesting now with iPads and school. They're on iPads at school now. Yeah. Both my daughters have an iPad. So like some things of like they've been using them growing up and know them so well. Now they're on them so much at school that it's like, that's just throwing a brand new wrench into things. It used to be they've never seen an iPad. They won't at school. It's all hands on. Now they do iPads at school, so I think it helped them in some ways, but they're getting a lot of screen time at school, so maybe not at home.
And as the theme of this episode is toys, right? It's like that's another part about toys and family time stuff is we have to break that cycle of screens sometimes, and we have to and we have to actively look for toys and games that break that cycle. And I think for our family anyway, puzzles is one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And something that we always think about too is like if we're going somewhere, if we're going on vacation and stuff, because you never know what the weather's going to be like sometimes, right? You could go to a beach vacation and all of a sudden it's like, a disaster and you've got like 3 days of rain, right? So we always bring like card games with us. Uno is a giant thing at our house. Yeah, like Uno is like, oh, we're going to see how many times I could give mom like, take 4 cards or whatever, or reverse, or like, Uno is a big thing. But also like other games that just like get the family together too, like left, right, center is another one that we like to play, right? And you could do that with with family too. We did that over Christmas. It was just so much fun. We like played with like cookies and candy, right? Like as the bets for all the rounds and stuff. So it was just a really good time. There's a group of card games by Exploding Kittens that is a lot of fun. They have like tons of like games like a goat taco pizza, like it's like war, but it's a different kind of game. And the other thing too that we do, like I again, like Nintendo like nails it on the head too with like group. If you're gonna do screen time together, the group
Mario
games are a ton of fun. Whether it's like Mario Party, right? Or you're going to play Mario Kart, right? You don't need the complicated controller. You just could use like the little switch pads and stuff like that. So that's stuff as a family that kind of like brings us together.
That's
those
awesome.
types of games.
Yeah. In my house, you guys love lightsabers and Star Wars, but that is something with my daughters since they were 2 years old, a light up lightsaber. And they have the kid, I'd always give them the ones that are like the little kid safe ones. But oh man, the glowy stick, and then we go, and I'd always say, I'm your father because I'm their father. And and then we turn the lights off and it's just the lights.
Yes.
But that's something, it happened.
Oh, yeah.
When it started. Now, and I'll be working from home and they'll come in and they'll shut the lights off and they'll, ignite a lightsaber. It's always on. It's like, it's a dad. It's no matter how busy I am. I'm like, okay, lightsaber fight with my daughters. I have to. And so that's been one that always is like a bonding thing that I like.
Nice.
Harry Potter wands is another one where they got into Harry Potter so much. And so I collect wands and we were playing with those. Lego I mentioned earlier. My wife, it's kind of her thing like to get presents for that my daughters and I can build together. So like I'm into geek stuff and Lego has done an awesome job of very specific dad Legos.
Merchandising.
Hey, but I don't see this too much with other companies. I think Lego has kept themselves relevant in, things like the 1966 Batmobile. That's like a really awesome replica Batmobile. And so that's something I build with my daughters and I kind of teach them steps and I help them with finding the right pieces. And so I that's just an awesome bonding moment with them. So that's been fun. And then video games. That's my other one that we bond over where, since my daughters were young, I try not to force it. It's like if they want to play, they can. Otherwise, I play my games. And so Sackboy was one that really opened up. It's called like Sackboy's Big Adventure for PlayStation. That was one that really just blew their minds. And it's very like, it's almost like a craft world. Everything's built out of cardboard in the game and like glitter and colorful things. And it's just like little 3D platformer. And they just loved it so much, customizing the little Sackboy, and it's like really simple. And yeah, it's just been that's nice. One that just brought us all together. And my youngest daughter too, who was not a gamer, like for a long time. The older one was a gamer from like day one, super loved video games. My little one kind of took her a little while to get into, and it just clicked. Where it's like, ooh, now she wants to play. We used to give her like the controller that's not plugged in. We did that a couple times. We're like, when she was little, we're like, she was 2, and you're like, here you go, there you go. And she's like, oh, I'm doing it. You're like, yeah, you're doing it.
Yeah, and then they understand that it's not plugged in, and you're done.
Right.
My daughter loves watching me play No Man's Sky, building bases and stuff like that. She's really she's fun with that. Asks a lot of questions too, and I'm trying to figure out how to like put pieces together. No, it's. Games are great. Games are, again, if you're gonna put games and toys in the same category, like we're gonna have to move with the times, right? That's one of the things about being a dad too, is that we got to move with the times, and the times are saying electronic toys. That's a big part of the market. So lots of stuff with toys. That makes you feel young again. I think that's one of the best things about playing with your kids and using the toys that they're using and stuff. It makes you feel like a kid again, and you get to bond with your kids.
Absolutely. And playtime's so important.
Yeah.
Imagination and those shared moments. There's something so special about that.
All right, so now dad toys. All right, lightning round. We each pick like one of our favorite toys, and let's just don't think about like the kids for the toys.
Yes.
I mean, it's just the stuff that we want, right? So okay,
this is a lightsaber from Savi's workshop at Disney. I think it's great. My brother-in-law built this for me while he was at Disneyland on his honeymoon. I got crystals to go with it. My daughter has like a lightsaber, not as good as this. She has like the pop-up ones, but I love lightsabers. They're my favorite thing in the world. I love what they represent. Jedi's weapon. I just think it's great. Lightsabers are my thing.
They're both more sophisticated. Nice. A lot of Obi-Wan tonight. No. So if you guys follow me on Instagram and stuff, you know that Jack and I, we love to play Nerf blasters. And the thing is that like we really like I've gotten into like making them too with like 3D printers and buying kits and stuff. So not just like going right to the store and buying it off the shelf, but actually like making them and customizing them. And that's like kind of fun because like you do learning too, right? You like there's some science involved in it and mechanical engineering stuff. So Nerf blasters.
We're talking dad toys. My favorite dad toys are all behind me.
Yes.
It's all these geek movie. I went with replicas. I used to do Funko Pops, and now movie replicas are mine. And one of my favorite recent ones is a Velociraptor resonance chamber from Jurassic Park 2.
Yep.
And you can blow in it and it makes like a raptor sound. It's so specific. Like some of the idol from, some of these are just like broad. That is so specific that it made me really happy inside.
And that sound must be terrifying for your
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, the dog loves it. Great sound.
Thanks for getting all geeky about toys with us. We hope you felt a little nostalgic, but also are walking away with a new toy idea or two for your little ones. Drop us a line at our Instagram and TikTok at 3Dimensional Dads or email us at 3dimensionaldads@gmail.com.
And join us next time for an episode about work-life balance. As dads, there's so much to juggle. Finding quality time, that's the holy grail, folks. We'll dive deep into this madness. It'll be therapeutic, we promise.
And as always, find us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify at 3 Dimensional Dads.